Alright, so for those of you just tuning in, we're about to spectate a 3v3 Arabia game in which I'll give you guys my commentary to hopefully improve your overall understanding of the Age of Empires 2 metagame. Players in here are of a relatively high skill level, and during the game I'll be going over their thought process. Before we begin, Absolute Bread is using a fun little, quote, exploit you can do in Age of Empires 2, where if you put a perfect exact amount of spaces after a message, you can pretend to chat for someone else. Absolute Bread. Dirty, dirty. Alright, good luck, have fun. Let's jump into this game. Everyone's gonna be randoming civs, so we'll see which ones they end up with. But yes, fun little exploits there. Alright. See what civs we have today. Now, of course, this is part of my weekly Twitch TV live streams, and if you want to get in on this, I'd love to have you. You can find my live streaming schedule by going to my Twitch page and scrolling underneath the video player there. I also do update my Facebook and Twitter whenever I am streaming. So, let's start off by taking a brief moment to introduce the players. We have Ready Teddy playing as the Red Mongols, teaming up with Mothump, our Orange Huns players, and Bot Marley playing as the Teal Spanish. On the opposing team, we have Twist as the Green Celts, Absolute Bread playing as the Blue Burmese, and Methane playing as the Yellow Portuguese. Thank you so much, Gudiger, for the 50 bits. And you did not actually crash my CLR browser in OBS this time with your with your 50 bits. Thank you so much, Gudiger. Appreciate it. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. As I say all the time, because it is true, people often ask me, Resonance, I want to get in on Age of Empires 2, start playing this online. What's the best way I can learn this game quickly? By watching my Night Rush tutorial, link in the video description. If you want to help out the channel, send the tutorial around when people are asking for help. Similarly, if people are asking for my thoughts on Age of Empires Definitive Edition or just information on the game, then I also have a video that I did on that as well. This is Arabia, of course, just with some of the new terrains and whatnot, but is functionally the same. And Arabia, as I say all the time, is a fundamentally aggressive map. It's an open map where it's quite difficult to wall, so we expect a lot of action in the early game. Ready Teddy is our flank player, which means that he is adjacent to an enemy and adjacent to an ally. Whereas we have Bot Marley will be this team's pocket player, surrounded by... Ooh, pan the camera away, no one saw that one. Bot Marley is our pocket player, but instead, let's talk a little bit about this other pocket player over here. Let's talk about Methane for a minute. Methane is surrounded by his teammates, so this means that he is less likely to be rushed, he's further away from an opponent. Now, so he's going to go for a more defensive style of play, probably going for like a fast castle age. Since he's further away from his opponents, he will be able to leverage that technology to lead better. He doesn't have to worry about being rushed and punished for going for a fast castle style build. Whereas we expect the flanks to start fighting each other in the Dark and Feudal Age, the pockets will join in and around the Castle Age, usually with something like Knights. Knights being a very strong early game unit that happens to have just enough mobility to apply some significant early pressure. Ready Teddy coming in with the Elephant Lure, 4 HP remaining. Will this villager survive? Ooh. Actually, that's a very, very well done, cleanly executed Elephant Lure here by Ready Teddy. Elephants are functionally the same as a boar, they just happen to have a little bit of extra food, and boom, didn't get housed either. This is even more important, of course, that you do this, that you learn to lure your elephants in rather than just gather from where they are. Ooh, nice. Nice there from Absolute Bread. Because, of course, this ends up saving a lot of walking time. And if you're watching this and not watching my Night Rush tutorial, chances are you're a little bit more comfortable with the basics of the game. Advanced tips in Age of Empires 2 are all about maximizing efficiency, and really the amount of times that your villagers spend walking is a huge waste, and something you should always try to minimize. So by luring it underneath your town center, they only have to sit up to drop off the food. Of course, if your elephant lure isn't perfectly placed, that is not the end of the world, but it's great to see everybody doing that. And generally, though, once you start pulling in the ooh, is he doing this? Is he doing this a little bit early? I think Mothump is used to his boar lure timing here. This actually has 400 food in it as opposed to 340. So he would have timed this almost perfectly, actually, if this was a boar, but it's not. And the makings of an extremely good player is one that can adapt to the situations. In this case, we see that he would have actually timed it flawlessly, but he's just used to that. You have to adapt your build order ever so slightly and lure the elephants just a little bit later, if you don't want to waste food while the bodies are decomposing. I mean, that's just another small miscellaneous tip you should be keeping in mind, is that you want to minimize the amount of decaying animals that you have at one point. Damn, that sucks! That house placement and that fat elephant body. But Absolute Bread should be luring this with a fresh villager because 18 HP is dangerous, and he is going to swap that out. Nice. You want to minimize the amount of bodies that you have decaying because they do slowly lose food over time. Oh, this is disgusting to look at. Ah, but you can't fool a bread man twice. Whew. Nicely done, nicely done. Because that food is, of course, lost. It doesn't end up making a huge difference. Oh, is this villager going to die? Ho! Ho! Saved. Well played, Absolute Bread. Meanwhile, it looks like Ready Teddy did actually lose a villager here, which is also a good segue into this topic of... generally speaking, and we saw this in the last match that I played, you do want to delay Loom if you can help it until, you know, maybe the late Dark Age or early Feudal Age. But get it super early if you feel like the connections in the game aren't that stable and there's like a bit of lag or you're just not confident in your ability to lure, because it is actually much better to get Loom early than it is to lose a villager. Loom actually takes the same amount of time to research as it does to create a villager, so by delaying Loom, you actually do build up an incremental economy lead, but losing a villager does not make that worthwhile. So if you're new to the game, just get Loom early, better safe than sorry. Cases, but walking is healthy for your vills. That's true, that's true. But generally speaking, they don't live long enough to where heart disease can be a problem. But, it can happen. Saved as always. Logan asked, Rez, would it be possible to get a voice actor for the expansions? Didn't they have a voice actor for the African Kingdoms and Forgotten Empire? And not the Forgotten... Oh, no. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, God. Is Mem still in the chat? Absolute Titanic. Oh, no. What is this? The pressure is on. Everyone get Twiss a hug. I'm sorry. That's happened to me before. Most people would just resign then and go into the next game. But Twiss, this is why Twiss is one of my favorite people. He didn't resign at all. No one will ever have to know that happened. Nice snipe there too. So yes, it's much better to get the Loom there, in that case. I thought the African Kingdoms and Rise of the Rosas had voice actors, Logan. But if you're talking about me voice acting something, I'd love to, but no one ever invites me to do that, so that's why I haven't done that. Alright, let's talk a little bit about strategy here. Like I said, our flank players, Bread and Ready Teddy, we expect to fight each other in the not-too-distant future, and, well, looks like Absolute Bread is telegraphing this by putting down his barracks now. Another really, really important point, again, once you are confident and comfortable with the basics of the game, scouting is everything. Age of Empires 2 is a game of, it's a game of counters and fundamentally incomplete information. You're going to have to make guesses, but you can get the edge up on your opponent by scouting him non-stop and then teching into counters initially. So, let's see. What does Absolute Bread know about Ready Teddy? So Ready Teddy immediately in the Feudal Age already because he's the Mongols with his 50% faster hunting. Bread's going for a drush. Bread has not scouted a barracks or anything, so he's playing in the dark, but you already know a little bit of information. We know that Ready Teddy went to the Feudal Age really quickly, so it could be scouts or archers. However, critically, Absolute Bread does not know whether or not it's scouts or archers. Absolute Bread himself, being the Burmese, free double bit axe, nice little eco boost, going for a drush. 4 militia, actually. Is this... Why is he making 4 militia? That's fascinating. Is he actually going to drop a tower on this and send some 4 villagers? Generally speaking, a drush is done with 3 militia, but he's tagging on a 4th one. He's getting very unlucky with these lion spawns, incrementally weakening these militia. So, here's why I like Ready Teddy's decision to go for archers instead. Generally speaking, we do expect the Mongols to open up... Yeah, men-at-arms, nice. Burmese men-at-arms rush with +1. +1 for free. I like the archer's decision here. I think it actually would have been a mistake if Ready Teddy went for the standard scouts. There are a couple reasons why I think he didn't do that. Now let's go see what his scouting information is. Okay, so he has seen the barracks and he saw a palisade, so he knows that his opponent has at least a partial wall off, and the way that his map gen is actually set up, yeah, he knows that this is very easy to defend this stone and gold. So, aggressive play with scouts I think would just ultimately not be very effective. Also, he's the Burmese, so we know that the Burmese men-at-arms rush is an option, and the archers are way better versus a build like that. And with an early barracks like we saw from Absolute Bread, that signifies that he might have some slower advancement timings. So by going for something like archers, you're guaranteeing yourself a faster castle age time than you would if you were going like really heavy on the scouts. It really depends though, because if you're going for like a light amount of scouts, you're just tacking on additional farms. So it really doesn't slow down your castle age timing that much. It's only if you really, really commit to it. But I like to see the archer build here too, because the Burmese, they've got, you know, if he's going for a men-at-arms rush like this, he can very easily mix in like a single spearman, and spearmen kill a scout in 3 hits. So it's a pretty hard counter. So I like to see this build. He's going in here with the men-at-arms. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Motham, our Huns player, going for Scout Cavalry, very strong off the 20% faster working stables, as well as the strong economy that they get from not having to build houses allows them to save a lot of wood. Burmese men-at-arms rush. This is pretty fascinating. The extra 1 attack, it is substantial, but they just kind of get kited by these archers. Now, the men-at-arms, what's nice about them is they apply a lot of pressure to things like palisade walls, but the extra 1 attack here isn't going to make that much of a difference. Well, the hill advantage, we'll have to keep our eyes peeled to see how that fight goes. Meanwhile, he's not really getting anywhere with the scouts on the other side of the map. These men-at-arms, one interesting thing you can actually do is the Burmese. Like, there is potential to this strategy, and I really like to see that he got the scale mail armor upgrade. Very important when dealing with those archers. But ultimately, this is not going to quite work out to him, because I think Ready Teddy just ended up going for the double range, you know, and he probably has fletching at this point. Okay, no, but he is getting it now. Cool. This kind of worked out for Absolute Bread, because he got to pick off more archers than I think he otherwise normally would have, but the Burmese can actually mix in some skirms with their men-at-arms, and I feel like if you're able to do that, that's actually a very strong build. Is he going to do that? It's very taxing on your age advancement timing if you go for that, and it can be quite difficult to get those out early, but that's a combo that's honestly pretty hard to beat if you're going for a really heavy feudal age fight. Is he going for skirms? He is. Fascinating. Okay, he's got a single spearman out here. I think he was anticipating scouts maybe being an option, but I don't think he's actually going to commit to any additional men-at-arms. And this might be a smart idea, considering that Ready Teddy opened up with the with archers. So he's probably going to have a very strong castle age timing. So I think if you ended up going for the skirms plus men-at-arms combo, well, that does apply a lot of pressure. Will slow down his castle age timing so much that he might end up just straight up losing to knights. So I think that this is probably the right decision. Let's go for mono skirms here. This is a good play, and the reason this is a good play is because there is no stable from Ready Teddy, and Absolute Bread knows this. Now, Ready Teddy going to make the right decision, standing on a hill where he's going to take 25% reduced damage and deal 25% more, but he really can't take this fight. And Absolute Bread knows this, so he's really pushing it here, and I like that he's using a spearman to absorb some damage, but it's going to come down to good control here. Can Absolute Bread focus fire down archers, because he's outnumbered, but he has the high ground. Is it over for Ready Teddy? Of course it is. Very, very nice. Good control here by Absolute Bread. But Bot Marley, honestly, Bot Marley had a little bit of a sloppy Dark Age, but this is a huge play here. He's using his Scout Cavalry, which he already had there, to help out, and he's coming in with the Knights. This is colossal. He's going to pick off a skirmisher. The skirms have minimum range. He's coming in here. He's going to win this fight for his teammate just by bringing in the Scout Cavalry that he started with. Oh my god, this is good. Never waste a single piece of resource that you have. And once again, Bot Marley coming in here with the Knights, cleaning this up. This is absolute disaster here for Absolute Bread. Ugh. It's a huge play. I feel like players in team games, at least the lower rated ones, don't utilize their starting Scout Cavalry well enough. If you see someone on the opposing team is going for like a mono skirm build as response to archers, sending in a single Scout Cavalry can completely turn that fight. And it did there. That was something that Bot Marley just needed to do that was kind of effortless in this part. And now Absolute Bread transitioning pretty well, I think, by just going for a wall off here. This is nice, because there's really no way that he can deal with these knights, and just getting a single knight in here to deal with them. This is the main weakness of the mass skirms build, because otherwise the skirms are pretty awesome, but they just get mopped up by the knights, because the knights can get in there, the skirms have minimum range, and they do 1 damage to knights, so it's not going to work out at all. Meanwhile, on the right side of the map, it looks like Mothump is all walled up. Really, Twist hasn't been able to get in there and do too much damage. Absolute Bread's map, though, is absolutely crazy. He just has to be careful not to chop down these trees and let the knights in. Seriously, this is one of the best maps I've seen in a while. The fact that he's able to fully close this off means that he will not die to Bot Marley's knights. Now Bot Marley has to make a tough decision. Where is he going to go now? I think the right play here is to actually go for methane or something, go for the opposing pocket rather than try and brute force your way in here, because this gold is so disgustingly safe. It can't be raided with archers or anything. Meanwhile, Ready Teddy just trying to stockpile enough resources to get to the Castle Age, but same with Absolute Bread. And he's doing a really good job balancing his eco. Notice how he only has 2 villagers on gold. Like, he's not overdoing this at all. Well-placed watchtower here too, but it might be just a little too close to the edge. I'm not so sure. If he built it like 1 tile further back, but the reason he's doing this is so that he'd have the hill advantage. Is he gonna complete this watchtower in time, or is his eco just gonna get wrecked? Meanwhile, nothing else is really happening. Oh, this sucks. He's gonna lose so many villagers for free if he committed 1 more villager. And again, so easy for us to see this as the spectator. That was a tough decision. 90%! Absolute Titanic! Oh no, is he still gonna commit more villagers to— oh god, and another one goes down! I don't know how many times I have to click that tower, man. This is Absolute Bread. Doubt levels of towers. No, you have to send larger groups of villagers at 90%. How many innocent souls must be lost for our war? Oh my god. He's actually destroying the game for himself. But here comes the knights from methane, so we're all good. Portuguese knights, 15% less gold. Portuguese, I feel like, are one of the worst 1v1 civs in the game. The more I think about it, they're slow. And they've sustained so many nerfs. This is excellent archer placement by Ready Teddy. And a colossal throw. I mean, what am I looking at? Ready Teddy has his archers perfectly positioned in that it's very hard for these knights to get this around. How many villagers died here? I don't even know. It's like 8. That is colossal early game. And I mean, not amazing focus fire here by Ready Teddy, because he could have probably killed one of those knights. The fact he almost won that fight is disgusting. So much damage here. Absolute Bread, really in trouble, but at least he's on his way to the Castle Age. So what he needs right now is he needs the Jaws of Life. What do you do if you're on his team? This game is not over at all. Absolute Bread has an amazingly insane map. He has resources stockpiled, but he needs a little bit of slinging action. He actually needs just a little bit of stone, put down 2 town centers. Somehow he has so much stuff banked because he really made very few feudal age units. I think a worse player would have committed 2 hard to skirmishers or something like that, and then he would not have had enough resources to actually come back from this. So he needs to put down 2 town centers immediately, probably a defensive siege workshop, I think, because he should be able to defend with the way his map is set up. He doesn't need to fear knights that much, he just needs to fear archers. God, that was such a disaster. Yeah, he really just has to fear archers. He's gone really heavy on the stones, so I think he wants a defensive castle. I think a Rambai makes little sense versus these matched archers because the Rambai are so inaccurate at range and have very low pierce armor, so I think that would be a bad idea. But I think this is just a defensive castle here. He's going to put it down to town center. If he can just stall, he might be fine. CJ asks, why don't you use new overlay for HD? It only works in Windows 10. I don't have Windows 10. My computer's been having a lot of problems. And I don't have enough money to upgrade my computer, so I actually just have to wait until I have enough money. So if you guys send any donations, I appreciate it, even off stream, subscribing, ad revenue, etc. It all helps. I don't really have that much savings, like I live comfortably, but I spent a lot of my savings on my friend's upcoming wedding. I really need to upgrade my computer. I need to get Windows 10 so I can play Windows Definitive. I play Windows Definitive, so I can play Age of Empires Definitive Edition and actually play new games. So I just need to do that. My monitors died recently as well, so again, I haven't had time to do any of that. There's a lot of cavalry archers here coming out from our Huns player. Interesting to see that Twist has like very few skirms, but archers, like crossbowmen, actually do trade favorably with cavalry archers unless like they're the Huns or sometimes the Mongols, but it depends. Just from a cost efficiency standpoint, but the discount on the cavalry archers is actually pretty huge. I would like to see some skirms being utilized here, especially because Twist has the faster woodcutting. Get some elite skirms out. It's the fact that he's still in the feudal age is actually very, very bad for them. So meanwhile, Absolute Bread is going to make a difficult decision here. He's going for elite skirms and not mangonels. That's probably just because he feels like he doesn't have enough wood. Yeah, because he went for the 3 town centers. I do think the 3 TC play is correct. He just needs a little bit of money. If Methane just sends him like 100 wood, I really think that would claw his way back into the game. Logan says you spend money on a friend's wedding. There's a casino. No, I had to buy a suit because I never owned a suit before. I don't know, just for me, like, it feels like frivolous spending, like, it just doesn't... I hate spending hundreds of dollars on something that I'm realistically not going to use that often, but I needed to buy a suit. I could have rented a suit, but the thing is that I know I'm going to need it again because now I work 9 to 5, so it's just, ugh. But it's something I had to do. The elite skirm thing is going to be very taxing on Absolute Bread's economy because he lost so many villagers, and also this gives Ready Teddy a very easy answer with mangonels, of which, oh, nice of Absolute Bread to dodge out of here. But he's going to need help from those knights. The problem is, though, is methane is nowhere to be seen, and Absolute Bread just needs some help. And again, this is where if you're in the pocket, I know this feels terrible. He's trying to engage in this hill. Very nice. I know it feels terrible, but you really need to sling like just a little bit of resources when your flank has a disastrous feudal age like Absolute Bread did. It was a mixed bag. I mean, it has pros and cons. Ooh, this is going to be huge. He got boxed in here. Mothman caught a little bit out of position, but I don't think it matters. This is one of the biggest strengths of cavalry archers, is really if you can leverage their movement speed. This unit is not too far off in cost efficiency from a crossbowman, provided you're playing in the expansions. You just have to be able to leverage their movement speed. Use them very well. They are, of course, very, very weak to elite skirmishers, which recently got that cost reduction, so it's something to keep in mind. But I think that Motham is out of position, honestly, and I think that these guys did a great job cornering him, so provided Absolute Bread doesn't just die straight up here, which he might, he's responding this correctly, though, with defensive siege workshop of his own. Good, they mopped up this army, and it's really hard to deal with these cavalry archers. Nice. I would like to see Elite Skirm, though, coming out here, but I think he just fears the easy knight transition. Motham has such a large economy. 50 population for Absolute Bread. Motham is at 100 population, so he's got it doubled there. Twist in a lot of trouble. It's a very powerful team here. It looks like, though, the mangonels did trade 1 for 1. It looks like, yeah, 1 for 1, so that comes out on top for Absolute Bread. Absolute Bread with the padded archer armor, very, very important when you're dealing with enemy crossbowmen, and somehow he's defending here despite losing like 8 villagers. And he's gonna build a castle. I love how he is playing this game, seriously. Ruffalos just go in your underwear? I don't think he'd appreciate that. It's his wedding, so, you know, spare no expense. I did not buy an expensive suit, but buying anything at all really hurts the pockets, man. It really does. The only time I ever ask for donations are when my computer's there, is when my computer needs upgrading. That way I can continue streaming. Otherwise, I fend for myself in that regard. Twist doing a great job defending, but Motham playing out of his mind, and he's not playing the Incas for once. Ooh, but Absolute Bread getting a 2v1. Okay, seriously, I mean, he's the superstar of this video as far as I'm concerned. Did he make like a really, really terrible play in the feudal age? Yes. However, he is adapting to it, and you are going to make misplays on that level. I make misplays on that level. That will happen to you. Even the Viper will do these things from time to time. So what makes a really good player is knowing how to recover from a terrible play. And ooh, goddamn, that hill advantage here. He needs to focus fire down that mangonel, and he is going to get it. Very nice. So he figured that he might end up in like a 2v1 situation, and I love how far ahead he was planning. He put all those villagers on stone a long time ago because he knew that he would probably need this castle to stay in the game, considering the eco deficit that he was at. And meanwhile, Methane also taking a really calculated risk, and I have to give him credit here for good map awareness, and Absolute Bread as well. If Absolute Bread did not go for all the villagers that he needed on stone to build this castle, he would have needed Methane's help earlier, and then Twist might have died. This is why I love this kind of like advanced planning with the heavy stone build. This gave Methane the space that he needed to stop Motham and save Twist and keep them in the game. They could still win this game because he was mining all that stone. It's a huge play. And what Absolute Bread has done here now is, well, one, it takes an insane map, but two, it also just takes good forethought. Absolute Bread was probably going to force this game to go to the Imperial Age, and he went on to 3 TCs. Like, this is how you do it. This is how you come back from a losing situation and play from behind. Textbook example. Absolute Bread could carry this for his team just by not dying. This is great. I do think the Arambai, like, I don't know why he's making them per se, but, I mean, I guess he has a couple knight support. I think the Arambai are really bad versus these cav archers. Good micro, by the way. As you see how he's making them waste their shots by walking perpendicular while the knights get to do some free damage. Methane playing very well. Full well, like, defending Twist on this side, taking a big risk, because Absolute Bread was so weak, I think that most players would not have... Like, they would not have made that decision. I think they would have defended him, then Twist would have died and he would lose the game. But I don't know if Methane knew this, But I think Bread knew that Methane would have to help on the right side, and that's why he went heavy on the stone. So if you see your flank doing something like this, it's pretty sick. Now, what do you make if you're Bread in this situation? I don't think Arambai are the answer. But there are a shitload of knights here, and Arambai are decent versus knights. I think that the Arambai plus Mangonel combo can work. Now, what do you do if you're in Twist's situation? So Twist was not going heavy on the stone, so he's really going to need Methane's help. He's going hard crossbows. I wonder if he's overcommitting to that, and if he like should be making more skirms. But it's tricky. Ruffalo says, my computer needs upgrades. Can I ask for donations? I mean, you can. I used to joke all the time about how back when Teslano watched my stream regularly, he still does, that we were going to start a donation fund so he could upgrade his toaster PC because he probably still has the same computer. His laptop was very, very, very bad. So I always used to joke about that, but I only ask for help in that regard because it's necessary that I have a good computer that is periodically updated, and some of the parts in my PC are absolutely ancient, so I can keep streaming. Otherwise, I don't expect people to help me with my with my discounted suits. So, these guys putting on a lot of pressure, but absolute Bread. Gonna be able to get this game to the Imperial Age, probably, but this is a good gamble here from Bob Marley. What do you do in this position? So Bread wants to go Imp, which I do think is right, because he's gonna need Trebs to deal with this castle. So once again, I love absolute Bread's thought process. He's like playing from behind. Obviously, the ideal thing that happens is you don't do this, and you build the watchtower a little further back, you don't commit as many villagers. But no one's perfect, and that's what makes this video so useful, I really think, is that you're going to make mistakes like that. And if you're playing that well consistently after that, you're going to win the game anyway. You're going to win it for your teammates. No one's perfect, so you have to be able to play from behind. So Methane coming in here, going for the Mangonels. It's so hard for him to actually get up there. But this is interesting. I feel like they're coordinating this like kind of well, but also kind of not. Ooh, because the Mangonel does not go down. Need to focus fire the Mangonel. Twist, where's the control at? It's not really here. All right, there it is, but damn. That was just a little bit of sloppy teamwork there from the two of them. Especially because this Mangonel, I mean, obviously these players are having to deal with a lot, but the hill advantage for Mothump is colossal. The control here, not so great from the two of these. Great Mangonel shot once again from Mothump. He's playing out of his mind. This man is tired of losing his Inkas on my stream. Mothump is a much better player than he gets credit for. Bought Marley and Imp. Ready Teddy and Imp. They're trying to get the first Trebs out, but again, absolute Bread. Smart player. I mean, that's why he's got the university, because, I mean, like, ballistics, I think, was part of the thought process, but really, I think that he just... Well, actually, no, actually, this was mostly for ballistics, the more I think about it. Probably ballistics and murder holes, because he already had the castle. But the way, you see how he's, like, not spending his resources? Well, now he is, because I feel like he thinks he has to. Go to Imp, man. Go to Imp. He was doing it. I guess he changed his mind. He pussied out. He wanted to get a couple extra villagers in. You need to go to Imp. I think he was thinking about it, but... Imp. Welcome to the stream, Melanie. I have to check my specs after this. I don't have them memorized, but they're old. Particularly my hard drives are super duper ancient. They're very slow. I need to upgrade them slightly. My laptop is at this point better than my desktop, but it's all right. The Trucking Pilot wants to know how I feel about Age of Empires Definitive Edition. The Trucking Pilot, go to my YouTube page and watch my 16-minute video that I spent a long time editing. Okay, Absolute Bread needs to go Imp. I think that he was thinking about that, but he just changed his mind or something. I don't know, man. That's like... You've got the cash. Okay, I guess he's just calling GG, which is why. But I was going to say, that's how you keep yourself in the game, is you need to get to Imp, so that way you have a way to deal with the Trebs and the forward castles. Because castles basically force the game, generally speaking, to go to the Imperial Age. It's very difficult to take them down efficiently with battering rams. You usually need like 5, and your opponent can probably have a defensive Mangonel or even pull some villagers off to deal with that. So the only way Absolute Bread could have survived here was to have gone to Imp, and I think that he didn't just because he kind of gave up and he thought it was over, but I think that was on his mind, the way that he wasn't spending his resources. I think that he would have 100% lost the game if he was doing something like silly and just like massing knights or just blowing all of his money, which should have gone invested into Imp. Then he would have been fine. I do think that he was screwed, though, regardless, and that they almost managed to claw it back with a couple good plays, but really, the opposing team, Mothum, Bot Marley, and Ready Teddy were playing just a very, very good game. Twist did a good job defending. I don't know exactly what went wrong here. I feel like Twist, since he was behind 2, I wonder if he should have made more elite skirmishers, or if a defensive castle would have benefited him. I don't think his map was that great. Like, he had a forward gold, which was very easy for Motham to pressure, and Motham made excellent use of this hill, even stealing some stone. Very, very dirty. Even though Motham was playing out of his mind, just for your own reference, guys, if you're going for a build like this, you actually do really need to get padded archer armor a little bit earlier than Motham did. Considering that Twist was going for a mono-ranged army, that would have been 1 less damage every hit from every crossbow and every skirmisher. That's actually colossal. But he totally got away with it because he's just controlling his troops well. Whoa! Oh my god! Thank you so much, Donor XYZ, for the $100. This is hopes this puts you over the required amount. Wouldn't want you to stop streaming due to a technical issue. Thank you for all the YouTube videos. Great content. Well, thank you, man! I now officially have enough money to replace my dead computer monitors. Thank you so much, Donor XYZ, and everyone else who donated today. I'll go down the list. You guys are the best. Last time I asked for donations was when I tried to stream Stalin versus the Martians. Fun fact. This was on April 1st, I think 2015 was the last time I asked for donations. I tried to stream Stalin versus the Martians, and again, my computer was really old, and when I launched Stalin versus the Martians during the stream, my computer blue screened. I actually think that Stalin versus the Martians was so poorly optimized and spaghetti code of proportions you can't even imagine that it just destroyed my computer. When I launched Stalin versus the Martians for the first time, the computer blue screened and it never booted again, and it was making all these horrible noises, and I had to replace a lot of parts. I think it just killed my CPU. I think it killed my CPU, it killed my graphics card, it killed my power supply, it killed everything. So Stalin versus the Martians actually bricked my PC, and thanks to a couple generous donations, I think it was Jay Smallman who sent me $500, I was able to actually replace my computer. And then on April 7th, I think, once all my new parts came in, we rebuilt my computer. I did Stalin versus the Martians. I also think I got some money from Melanie back then too, so... Yeah, Stalin versus the Martians was actually the final straw on my old computer. It's something, it just didn't agree with it, and that just killed the whole thing. It was amazing. I actually think it just overheated my computer was the problem, because the game is so poorly optimized. It never heard my fan running as loud as it did when I was running Stalin versus the Martians. Thank you so much, Donor XYZ, really appreciate it. Alright, so I think that was a good game there. I think the Twist, Bread, and Methane did a great job defending, and I hope I pointed out some interesting scenarios for you guys that improve your overall strategy and understanding of the game. I think Bread did a great job playing from behind. Methane had to make some tough calls, but I think he made the right ones defending Twist. And while neither side played perfect, I thought they made a lot of great moves. Like Bob Marley with the castle drop, I like to see that. I like to see Ready Teddy doing that as well. That was sort of their compromise, knowing that they couldn't kill Absolute Bread, but they wanted another way to put pressure on him. If Bread didn't put down this castle, absolutely would have been GG. If Methane didn't help Twist and instead went to help Bread, absolutely GG. Bread needed to do the stone mine if he wanted to stay in the game. I feel like, Motham probably wanted Pattern Archer armor a little bit earlier, and, maybe Twist should have made more skirms. That's difficult to say. It's very easy for me to say that in retrospect. But overall, they were just able to overpower them, I think, with just faster Imperial Ages. And I think they made the right decision to resign there. When every member of the opposing team is an imp and you're not, and while these guys were close, that's just it. The tech advantage from feudal to castle and then castle to imp is a reoccurring trend in my videos. It's colossal, it is. And mostly because those guys just wouldn't have easy answers to trebs, and Bread knows that his defensive play style is over the moment that the trebs come out. That's why I think he was considering going to imp, but I guess he felt like at that point it was just a lost cause, and that they really needed a big advantage there. So yeah, interesting. Rafaloa said, how should Inca play? The Incas are a really versatile civ. I think that they have a great tower rush. They have a fairly decent boom due to the discounted stone cost. I think they can do a decent defensive play. Slingers are an underrated castle age unit. They have fairly good stats, just can be difficult to afford them compared to crossbows. Overall, I think the Incas are a fairly good civilization. They still have Eagle Warriors that are viable in the late game. Just make a wide variety of units, I would say, is the Incas is the solution. They have a slow push that's quite difficult to beat. They have Auditors with Siege Engineers. And, you back that up with, some Chemiux to deal with the cavalry. They have champions, slingers, arbalest, elite skirms, etc. That can be a very difficult death ball to actually deal with. Chemiux are just a strong unit. GG, well played. Yeah, you played out of your mind, Motham. It was a great, absolutely great game to watch here. And, yes. See, this is how you play from behind. Take careful note. Absolute Red, 96 villagers, despite losing so many of them early on. Twist's economy, I think, was just a little too small, unfortunately. Poor guy, but he's getting heavily raided. And that's what happens when you have to deal with the Huns Cavalry archers. I think that Twist and Methane did, like, that boxing when they cornered Motham was so sick. But perhaps Twist just didn't have enough town centers or something. I don't know. His eco was fairly tiny. He actually collected the least food in the game, and we can attribute that heavily to the amount of times he was raided. He also had the least stone collected. But also, yeah, he just didn't really recover from the massive raiding. Whereas Bread did, but then he got trapped. Good game. Good game. Executionaires asks, when is the Turks power spike in early castle or early imp? I think it's early imp. I think that they do have a power spike in the early castle age because the faster gold mining helps them make crossbowmen, helps them make knights, and it can help with things like mangonels and monks. But really, it's the Imperial Age. It's that free chemistry, Executionaires, that is amazing. And what I'm going to do for you real quick before we end off this video is I'm going to go to our Break the Meta playlist, and I want to show you a video. Honestly, like, if you're looking for more Age of Empires 2 content or content for other games, you're in the right place. I have plenty of Aoe 2 content. If you can't wait till the next stream, have you watched all the videos on the channel? You probably haven't. So let me find this one. Turks Fast Imperial Age. Aoe2 Break the Meta playlist. Here we go. Scrolling down. Episode 11. Bingo. Yeah, it was a great game. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Let me know if you learned anything. As always, appreciate the support, especially for the content I do besides Age of Empires 2. It means a lot to me. Thank you as well for the donations. Yeah, it just helps out a lot. You guys are the best. I will see you all next week. But don't go anywhere, though, if you're watching live right now, because I'm going to host Mem TV. Mem is going to preview the game SOS The Ultimate Escape, which the company I work for, Outpost Games, my 9-to-5 job, we've been working on this for a long time. SOS goes into alpha on Monday, June 26th. And I invited Mem to be the streamer to preview the game. So please, if you're watching live right now, I'm going to host Mem in a minute. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to host Mem. The actual event itself actually starts in 20 minutes. So stay tuned, stay tuned. And we need to give Mem our energy. We need to cheer him on. So Donor XYZ, Mothump, Assassin, Bish, you guessed it. Anonymous, Urban Court, Mystic Tube, Makobo, Giant Apple, Gloopot, Galley Jepson. Thank you so much for the donations, guys. Elkabong actually sent me $30 a couple of days ago. Thank you as well. And then we had a ton of new subscribers today. Much appreciated. Of which, of course, my list isn't updated because that would be too easy. All right, we're going to host Mem now. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in. We'll post that on YouTube later. Stay tuned. And GG, well played.